Hello there and welcome to another edition of my gaming challenges. This time I am doing American McGee's Alice, one of my all-time favourite video games. In fact, it is my all-time favourite video game. This time, however, I'm going to play it a little bit differently. This time I'm going to go through the whole game using nothing but the Vorpal blade, the knife itself. How hard is this challenge? Well, it's a bit hard, but you'll see how I managed to progress through the game using a knife only, and this run is going to be a pain, a real pain, and I'll explain everything on the way. So a few ground rules for this challenge. For one thing, I can only use the knife. Nothing more, nothing less. If I collect another weapon, I just can't use that weapon. I have to use the knife and the knife only. And well, that's just about it. I can throw the knife, I can slash with the knife, but that's it. I can't do anything else. Another thing is I'm going to be playing this on the hardest difficulty, which is Nightmare. So the enemies are twice as hard to beat and they're twice as deadly, meaning you lose a lot more health and it takes a lot more to kill the enemies. One of the other things that I'm going to do is allow as many saves as possible. Basically, infinite saving. I can save whenever I want, however I want, just to make things a little bit easier. So without further ado, let's go. So as soon as the game begins, we are given two very easy levels. There's not really much to talk about Pandemonium and Dementia, but they are very easy levels. You can literally just go through them and you don't really kill as many enemies. You can throw the knife at the car guards and they die after 3 or 4 hits. It's a very easy set of levels, so there's not really much to talk about. Moving on. However, we now get to the Fortress of Doors. This is a different story entirely, because now we are introduced to an enemy which I loathe. An enemy that will give us so much trouble during this entire challenge, this knife-only challenge. This enemy being the dreaded Boojum. So what makes Boojum so dreadful? Well, let's say they use this Banshee Scream attack, which is very off-putting because it can either hit you or it can either not hit you. It's very inconsistent with the hit ratio. Not only that, they often come in swarms. So imagine you get attacked by one Banshee, or one Boojum I should say, and then you get attacked by another Boojum, and another Boojum. It's very stressful. However, for the first part of the Fortress Doors, it's very easy to just go around doing the jumping puzzles and avoiding the enemies, or in many cases just throwing the knife at them. It's easier to throw the knife and take them from afar and or hide from cover. The Boojums, on the other hand, are very tricky because they'll also swarm you and they'll fly about, which will be a little bit annoying trying to aim at them or trying to hit them. I did die a few times thanks to the Boojums, especially when I got to a certain section when it comes to selecting the right doorway or the right portal, which is always on the right. However, here you have 5 Boojums. I repeat, 5 Boojums. 5 Boojums, all that can kill you in an instant, and the best tactic to do is run away. That's really it. Just run away, just avoid them as much as possible, try not to get hit by them, and hopefully survive. The keyword there is hopefully. So the hell with the Boojums doesn't end there. You see, you still have to get inside the school. By going around the fortress, you deal with 2 Boojums and you have to jump through a window. These 2 Boojums, funnily enough, gave me a lot of trouble. In some ways, I wanted to just run away and avoid fighting them so I could save my health and save using the knife. Because there is one major problem when it comes to using the knife. You see, the knife is very slow at attacks, and you have to be really close to use it. Not only that, the knife, when you throw it, takes ages to respawn, so you are left open for attack. Luckily, I managed to avoid these Boojums when getting inside to the school, where I was met by multiple car guards. In this case, the diamond car guards that can fire projectiles at you. And because this is Nightmare, they fire projectiles twice as fast and are very deadly in this, whereas before they're usually pretty easy just to take out. Luckily, I managed to get through this and I avoided some of the fights, but then I soon got to the bookcase scene. And, well, it actually went quite well. It went very well, in fact. The best scenario is to basically run behind cover, throw the knife, run behind cover, throw the knife, run behind cover, and throw the knife multiple times just to take out the car guards one by one. It actually helps a lot when you're dealing with a huge amount of enemies, especially because the car guards can sometimes get stuck behind objects, and as a result means that they won't really attack you because they are stuck, and leaves them easy to attack. Obviously it takes 3 knife throws, so it will take ages each time just to respawn a knife, but hey, it works. And I managed to do the bookcase scene and move on. The next scene is to basically help the gnome elder create a potion that allows you to shrink down. Now, the first thing I wanted to do was take out all the car guards and all the enemies that are nearby. This is easy enough. You can get attacked from both ends, which results in Alice being stun locked in a way, which can be a little bit problematic when you're trying to deal with the enemies, when you're trying to push all the enemies out of the way and trying to clear rooms. Luckily, I managed to get through it, and hey, it worked. I eventually met the gnome elder, but then I had another issue. 3 boojums in a room which you cannot leave unless you kill all the boojums, and there's a hole in the wall, and there's hardly any health. However, and this is a big however, surprisingly enough, I found out that the boojums are, well, they have a bit of trouble going through doors. In fact, a lot of enemies, as I discovered, had trouble going through doors. And what I did was, well, the same tactic as I mentioned before. I hid behind a door cover, I threw the knife, I hid behind the door cover, and then I threw the knife again. And I eventually cleared out all the boojums, and I didn't die once. I managed to get out of this scene and go up to get the ingredients for the potion. I avoided a lot of fights just to, well, help myself, really, to not die, and I eventually got the potion from the gnome elder, which meant I had to go back all the way to the library. This library section was filled with more boojums. More freaking boojums. Luckily, the boojums were easy to dispatch. Like I said, I literally ran away and threw the knife, ran away, threw the knife. In some cases, the boojums did follow me, and I just lured them away, so I wasn't swarmed by multiple boojums, so I lured them one by one, and it worked out. I managed to get rid of a lot more boojums, and eventually I managed to get myself to the observatory. This observatory bit is very, very easy. All you have to do is just run past the 2 car guards, and you jump through, and you enter the Pool of Tears. Oh boy, the Pool of Tears. Now, if you know some of my commentary videos in the past, or any of my videos referring to American McGee's, you know that I really hate this section of the game. I hate the Pool of Tears, and I hate Wonderland Wood. I hate being small, basically. And on Nightmare, with knife only, it is pure and utter hell. And I mean hell. You got army ants that have hit-scanning guns that can completely annihilate you, and if you get too close to them, they'll throw you afar. Then you have the ladybirds that will drop bombs on you and will kill you in at least 2 hits, I believe. And then you have the snarks that will spit at you and they will drag you into water. They can also swarm you. It is just pure and utter hell. This first section involving the boulders, I kept saving a lot just to avoid the army ants, and I did try to snipe them with my knife, however that did not work. Eventually I had to just YOLO it and just go straight through, and I got heavily damaged. They shot me multiple times and I was almost dead. Eventually I got to the mock turtle part where I have to ride the leaf, and oh dear, oh very, very dear. This section was horrible. This section I had to throw the knife as much as I can, either to stun the ladybird so they didn't blow me up. However, if I did that, then another ladybird would come and blow me up, which meant I'd lose all my health and I'd die. If I fell in the water, I'd get eaten by snarks, which sucks. And then you have the 2 waterfalls. In one of the waterfalls, you fall into the water and you have 2 army ants. 2 army ants that will hit scan you no matter what. So I had to hide behind a rock, and fire the knife at them, throw the knife at them multiple times. And what's worse about this is that the army ants take loads, and I repeat, loads of hits. I believe it's around 6 or 7 hits just to kill one of these bloody army ants with the knife only on Nightmare mode. It was horrible. It was utterly horrible. Eventually I managed to get through this one section, and now we are just about to meet the Duchess. However, we have to now go through more. And what's worse is that we meet more army ants, and this time they bring their captain along, which can throw grenades and slash you with a sword, and they will always charge towards you. these guys suck because they also have more health, and you are screwed, and I mean very, very screwed. Getting to the Duchess's house was just horrible. These army ants were everywhere, and I just kept getting shot multiple times. I managed to avoid this one section with the mushrooms and the blood roses, which was pretty easy. And I then met the Duchess's house, or got to the Duchess's house. And this is where we have two army ants, one of which is a captain one, and they just suck. They just got to me. They really, really got to me. I died so many times to these two army ants because either you can't run away because they'll walk towards you and charge towards you and then they'll kill you, or they'll throw grenades all over the place, which means you'll just get blown to pieces, or they'll shoot you with the hit scanning, which just sucks. And the only method I could use was to throw the knife, which takes almost 7 to 8 or 9 or 6, or I don't know how many bloody hits, but so many hits. Thankfully, I managed to get through this, and I met Bill the lizard. By the way, if you think that you can avoid the army ants fight and just go straight to the Bill the lizard cutscene, you can't. The only way to do that is if you could somehow get the army ant to throw you through the house and glitch yourself through, but unfortunately that is quite hard to do, and I only managed to do that once by complete accident. On most occasions you just can't, and you have to kill these two army ants, so that was what made it even more painful. So eventually we got to the Duchess's house and the Duchess boss fight. I must admit I was a little bit spooked by this because I thought, well, on the Nightmare she'll rustle about, she'll use her pepper grinder, she'll beat me, she'll eat me, she'll do anything to me. However, the Duchess boss fight is actually really, really easy. You see, one way to defeat the Duchess, knife only, is to run around a table and throw the knife at her every so often. What makes it even better is that she actually damages herself sometimes. When she throws her pig bomb, it actually hits the table and it blows up in her, and she actually blows up in her face, and she actually gets damaged. You can look closely and you can actually see the damage. So after the Duchess boss fight, we are now in the Mock Turtle section, which is the underwater section. This section was relatively mundane. It's the same thing that you expect normally. There's not really much difference. You use the knife anyway in this section, so there's not really much to go through. It's just on Nightmare mode, it can be a little bit tricky because now you have snarks trying to bite you every 5 seconds. So eventually we are on Wonderland Wood, and the first thing you see is a bunch of ladybirds, a bunch of army ants, and a few snarks to the water. Lovely. I must admit, I was dreading Wonderland Wood overall because you're attacked from land, sea, and air. However, funnily enough, Wonderland Wood wasn't too bad. Unlike Pool of Tears, you actually can have a lot more obstacles to hide behind and throw knives at, and actually made things a lot easier. It took a hell of a long time. In fact, it took me over an hour to complete this bit, but I managed to get through the Wonderland Wood and beat the centipede. The centipede. Oh dear, the centipede. If you've seen my proof video, then you already know how bad this went. At first I thought it was going to be easy because all you have to do is just hit the target. However, the centipede wasn't really, or the RNG I should say, wasn't really on my side. The centipede kept spewing out his small little critters, and he also kept using the acid attack, and he kept charging at me, which just sucked. So I really had a bad time doing this. I kept saving every time I got a hit, and eventually I managed to kill him. It was very difficult, but I'm sure it's actually much easier. I just suck at it. Now that you're big again, you then meet some new enemies. These new enemies range from the imps, who are very easy to kill. You can just throw 2 knives at them and they die. The lava men, which you can easily just avoid, and they'll drain their lava ability, meaning they're easier to get rid of just by throwing the knife at them, and they cannot attack you if they have no lava or boiling point, or whatever the hell you call it. And then you have the Phantasmagorai, which are very easy to kill. They do not kill you, they can freeze you, and they can drain your energy, but let's be honest, you're not going to be needing your energy if you're just using a knife, so you could just sit there and slash at them as much as you like. Then, of course, you have to face the Boojums. Yes, there are more Boojums. In fact, there are a ridiculous amount of Boojums. There's 5 bloody Boojums on these tight platform areas, these tight cliff edges, and you have to meet the Oracle, aka the Caterpillar. You get the Jabberwocky staff, and you can then proceed off to the Pale Realm. Getting to the Pale Realm is pretty easy. You can just find a mirror, and you can go invisible and avoid all the enemies and just go through the portal. Now, I won't lie, the Pale Realm was an area which I thought was actually going to be really, really easy. You see, whenever I've played the game before in the past, the Pale Realm has always been one of the easier areas. The chess pieces have never really given me much trouble, and even on Nightmare mode, they rarely give you any trouble. However, Being on a knife-only run on Nightmare mode, it can truly become painful, especially when you face the bishops and the rooks. The bishops can use this hit scan laser attack, which is just really annoying, and the rooks can charge at you and then send you flying away, and that can also be very annoying, and they can also take off huge chunks of your health. So you have to easily, and well, I say easily, you have to ease your way and throw your knife at them as much as possible. You cannot really get too close because they'll hit you out the way, so you have to just repeatedly throw your knife over and over and over again. Hiding behind a wall or some doorway usually helps. Eventually I made it to the White Castle, and once again I had to fight all the enemies. You see, you cannot just avoid the enemies here, you have to fight them one by one, and it can be tiresome, it can be quite draining, but eventually you can do it. Unfortunately, the white chess pieces are a little bit unreliable. You see, their AI either works and they can help you, or they decide they're not going to work and they just sit there while you get attacked. Once you get through the White Castle, you then enter the Red Castle, the Red Kingdom, and ironically enough, the Red Kingdom is surprisingly more easier than the Pale Realm. Yeah, the Red Kingdom is more easy than the Pale Realm. Even though the Pale Realm has white pieces, the Red Castle, or Red area, actually you can avoid a lot of fights and you can easily make your way over to the Red King. Oh boy, the Red King. He is pitifully easy. All you have to do is just run in a circle and throw the knife at him. He does change his attack every so often. For example, he will go from shooting arrows at you to using a hit scan laser attack, which is unavoidable, I'm afraid. But you can just throw knives at him, collect the meta essence, and you make your way through and resurrect the White Queen. Upon resurrection of the White Queen, you then come across the Mad Hatter, who knocks you unconscious. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where I'm going to leave it for now, because part 2... oh boy, part 2 is beyond hard, and I mean really, really hard. It steps up its game massively, and I'll discuss that at a later point.